This is your daily dose of all things royal.
In a tiny town of less than 300 people, this farm was home to Virginia Giuffre's time away from the spotlight. It was here last night in near Gabby where she sadly ended her own life. The 41-year-old found unresponsive just before 10 o'clock at the property. Police and paramedics providing first aid, but the mother of three couldn't be saved. Her family today releasing this statement. She was the light that lifted so many survivors. She was heroic and will always be remembered for her incredible courage and loving spirit. In the end, the toll of abuse is so heavy that it became unbearable for Virginia to handle its weight.
Welcome back, my gorgeous, good-looking friends. All I can say is something is just not right. And if you agree with me, go ahead and show me by hitting that like button so I know that we're all on the same page with what we are seeing. So as many of you may know, sadly, Virginia Giuffre had unalived herself, or at least that's what's being reported.
Virginia Giuffre was one of the most prominent accusers of Jeffrey Epstein and Prince Andrew.
So just to back up a little bit, last month on March 30th, Virginia Giuffre, otherwise known as Virginia Roberts, posts this on her Instagram account where she writes, "This year has been the worst start to a new year. But I won't bore anyone with the details, but I think it important to note that when a school bus driver comes at you driving 110 kilometers, as we were slowing for a turn that no matter what your car is made of, it might as well be a tin can. I've gone into kidney renal failure. They've given me 4 days to live, transferring me to a specialist hospital in urology. I'm ready to go, just not until I see my babies one last time. But you know what they say about wishes. Shit, I guess. In one hand and wish in the other, and I guarantee it's still going to be shit at the end of the day. Thank you all for being the wonderful people of the world and for being a great part of my life. God bless you all. Love, Virginia." All right, on the surface, looking at this photo, it does appear that she's lying in a hospital bed, and she does look pretty banged up. But here is what confuses me. If this woman was literally on death's door in critical condition, who took this photo? Because it's not like she was the one who had the phone and took this selfie. And then on top of it, if she was in critical condition, why is she not wearing the standard hospital gown? As well as when you see that little patch on her chest to monitor, why is that not hooked up? Now, I think it's worth noting and pointing out here that when you go to Virginia Giuffre's Instagram account and you look at the posts that she has made, you can tell that she's not been particularly active on this social media platform. What you see here is that prior to this post of her in the hospital, Virginia really stopped posting as of July 2024 and only started back up again on March 1st, 2025. So when you look at these posts, it's a complete contrast to what she had been posting prior to March of 2025. In this one, it says, "A therapist said that sometimes being a loner is a trauma response. You're so used to people you love not showing up for you or walking away, or you may have grown up in a toxic environment, that the only one you could depend on was you, so you naturally feel safe when you're alone." Then we look at this other post, which was also posted on March 1st, quoting Alice in Wonderland and the conversation that Alice has with the white rabbit. Then we have the second to the last post, which was posted on March 22nd, dedicated to her kids, photos of her kids going on about how much she loves them. I'm not going to put the photos up there, but she writes here, "My beautiful babies have no clue how much I love them, and they're being poisoned with lies. I miss them so very much. I've been through hell and back in my 41 years, but this is incredibly hurting me worse than anything else. Hurt me, abuse me, but don't take my babies. My heart is shattered, and every day that passes, my sadness only deepens." So here we have on March 22nd, her expressing how deeply upset she is. Now, if we go back and look at her post before posting in March of 2025, there's no indication that she has any type of depression or she's having suicidal ideation or even depressed. You can see that she's grateful and she's just enjoying the beauty of life. In addition, Virginia has posted up in the past that she's not suicidal. And if anything should happen to her, then it's not because she was depressed or any of that other stuff. So looking at the way that this is all playing out, to me, it's fishy. What makes this all so fishy to me is that after the initial post of Virginia announcing that she was in the hospital and she only had 4 days to live, was that her stepbrother, Sky Roberts, spoke to the media. But it wasn't just speaking to the newspaper in Australia or a reputable news channel. He gives an exclusive to People magazine. And I want to read just a little bit of this article that came out on April 7th, 7 days after this cryptic post that Virginia had posted on her Instagram. Virginia Giuffre was released from the hospital on Monday, April 7th, the week after saying she was near death following a vehicle accident with a bus. Virginia, 41, was released from the Sir Charles Gairdner Hospital in Perth. Her rep confirms to People. The rep didn't provide additional information about her health. Now, let me pause for a second. Who is this rep? Because I'd like to know their name. There's no name listed there. So it could have been anyone that called up People and said, "Hi, I'm the rep for Virginia Giuffre." Just keep that in mind. On Sunday, March 30th, Virginia said on Instagram that she was in the hospital and near death after the car in which she was riding on March 24th was struck by a school bus going more than 49 miles per hour. So it's literally 1 month to the day that Virginia Giuffre decided to unalive herself since she had this bus accident. Now remember, it's People magazine who has this so-called exclusive, and they say, while she was in the hospital, she came forward with allegations of abuse against her husband of 22 years, Robert Giuffre. In an exclusive statement to People, okay, this is a statement. We don't know if it's written. We don't know if it was verbal, but Virginia said, "I was able to fight back against Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, who abused and trafficked me. But I was unable to escape the domestic violence in my marriage until recently. After my husband's latest physical assault, I can no longer stay silent." So here's what feels somewhat like a manipulation. 2 days before, apparently the statement that Virginia Giuffre gave to People was covered in an article. And at the same time, they also quote again the exclusive that they released on the 7th with the brother. Speaking exclusively to People, so I'm guessing the statement that was given to People was written on some paper by someone. We don't know if Virginia really did say that. But anyhow, speaking exclusively to People, Virginia's brother, Sky Roberts, and his wife, Amanda, both 36, say Virginia is speaking out about the allegations because of the severity of her injuries. "I think the last incident they had, she almost died," Amanda says about the alleged January 9th beating. "And we had to speak that truth with her on the phone. And I think she had acknowledged that if she had one more instance with him, she wasn't making it out there." Sky and Amanda note that they don't know whether Virginia's medical issues were caused by the crash, a recent beating she allegedly suffered, or a combination of the two. Let's be clear, she never stated in the bus accident the cause of all her other injuries, says Sky. "But I do think that the bus crash in some way, shape, or form saved her life. It could have been a blessing in disguise." Adding that he doesn't know specifically what happened internally to her, Sky, an auto claims adjuster, says Virginia's bruising is consistent with a car crash. Robert recently filed a family violence restraining order against her, alleging that she had become violent with him, they say. Now, this all feels very sus because right after Virginia had posted this cryptic post on Instagram, there were reports that this bus accident wasn't so severe and Virginia had walked away with just minor cuts and bruises. So now this is supposed to be Sky and Amanda, and I'm assuming that Sky and Amanda gave People magazine this photo to put in this article. I still find it very strange that out of all the years that Virginia Giuffre had been speaking out about the abuse that she was subjected to, not once did this so-called brother come out to support her. Now, all of a sudden, we have him talking and doing these interviews with People magazine nonetheless. But it gets even weirder because in Australia, this photo has been circulating around indicating that Virginia's brother, had posted this last photograph of his sister, but they don't necessarily identify who is the brother. Is it the one on the right or is it the one on the left? So Daily Mail had gotten a hold of this photo and published it, indicating that the brother is the one on the right and his name is Danny Wilson. The guy holding the beer sure does look like the guy that was in the People magazine article. Now, I know Wikipedia is not the most reliable source, but I went to Wikipedia to see what Virginia's wiki page looked like before she passed away. So I went all the way back in the archives, and this is what her bio had said. Dated September 11, 2021, Wikipedia writes, Virginia Giuffre was born Virginia Louise Roberts in Sacramento, California on August 9, 1983 to parents Sky and Lynn Roberts. The family relocated to Lagache in Palm Beach County, Florida, when she was 4 years old. Giuffre has a younger brother. Full stop. I took another archive sample from November 14, 2022. The verbiage hasn't changed. Still says that Virginia has a younger brother. I took another sample September 20th, 2024. No change. Says that Virginia Giuffre has a younger brother. We see the same thing in January of 2025 this year. There's no change to the early life. But now let's look at the archive on the day where it was reported that Virginia Giuffre had died. And it says here, Giuffre has a younger brother, comma, Sky. But that's not the weird part about this. The reason why I'm showing you what they have changed on the day that they announced that Virginia had died is this next update that Wikipedia makes. In what is currently reflected today in the most up-to-date Wikipedia page, it says, Virginia Giuffre was born Virginia Louise Roberts in Sacramento, California on August 9, 1983 to parents Sky William Roberts and Lynn Trude Cabell. She had two stepbrothers, Sky and Daniel. Okay, so all these years, they kept reporting that Virginia had a younger brother. Younger brother. Then all of a sudden today or yesterday, they had updated saying that she had this brother named Sky. Now all of a sudden she had two stepbrothers, Sky and Daniel. So here we are now, 1 month later. And who gets this exclusive to announce to the world that Virginia Giuffre had unalived herself? Well, that would be People magazine. And who exactly from the family was representing to give their heartfelt statement? It wasn't her father. It wasn't her eldest child, who I believe is 17 or 19. And it was not Sky Roberts or Danny Wilson. The person that gave this exclusive now was the wife of Sky Roberts, so Virginia's sister-in-law, allegedly. Now, is this making any kind of sense to you? Like, why would you go to this rag mag to give an exclusive after one of your closest members had passed away in such a way that, you know, at this time, the family does deserve privacy? Why would you sell out like that? Unless, ... I'm sorry, but no one is buying this. Obviously, there's something very suspect going on here, and I don't believe that she took her own life. I would like to believe that she's somewhere in witness protection because of the files that are supposed to be coming out imminently. Look, I'm trying to be optimistic here and hope that this is not the case, but we do know that there are a lot of people that wanted to see Virginia just disappear, all because of the time that she had spent with Sleazy E and the things that she saw. Which brings me now to this washed-up socialite, Lady Victoria Hervey, and the things that she has been saying, which leads me to believe that her involvement with this and her attachment to Prince Andrew needs to be looked at closer. Now, she has been a staunch defender of Prince Andrew, claiming that he is innocent. And I don't know if it's because she had dated him or it's because she's part of the aristocracy, but there is some fierce level to defend the man. And she has come out swinging, calling Virginia Giuffre now for years that she has been lying about this experience that she had with Prince Andrew, as well as faking that photo. Like, she's been on this mission to destroy Virginia, and she could not help mask her hatred for this woman by posting some really nasty things on Instagram, such as, like, she went around telling people that the FBI was onto Virginia based off of a recording that was given to the FBI. Here is what she had to say about that.
Like, being the biggest story that has been
So do you think that we will live to see the day, in your view, where Prince Andrew is 100% entirely vindicated?
Yeah, I do. And as I said, I can now tell you this as a fact. There are tape recordings of Virginia Giuffre saying on a phone call that was recorded without her knowing, nothing ever happened.
Where have they come from, those recordings?
The guy that recorded it died last July. He was murdered in Chicago.
Right. OK, and why haven't they been made public then, do you think?
Because the FBI have them. And we had to wait for Trump to win to get this stuff out, because under Joe Biden, one of my other witnesses would have been put in jail.
So this to me feels very much like a setup in order to clear Prince Andrew's name so he can go back to public life. Like, why is she so invested in this? Like, her sources, that she couldn't reveal this person because they would have gotten arrested? Like, who are you talking to and what are you scheming?
This is the situation. I stopped talking about this story because, you know, once I lost a witness, he was murdered, violently murdered in Chicago in July. I stopped talking about it. I thought, you know what, let the FBI deal with it, and we'll do that.
Is this the reason why she infiltrated and pretended to be part of the MAGA movement? Here she is with Kash Patel, who is the director of the FBI. Back in 2018, she couldn't stand Donald Trump and wanted Obama to come back. What has changed? And now all of a sudden you know that the FBI has recordings of allegedly Virginia Giuffre saying that it never happened with Prince Andrew. How do we not know that those recordings were not artificially manipulated, like how we know some people in the royal family have been doing, and then giving stories away to People magazine to push out to brainwash the masses? And I think it's really worth noting that right before this announcement of Virginia Giuffre's death, we get all these articles about Prince Andrew wanting his life back with a royal comeback, as well as telltale signs of Prince Andrew's exile being over. And let's not forget Fergie showing her face on Easter, making it seem like she's now all good and in with the family. And speaking of Fergie, her friend Daphne Barak, who is a journalist, writes this post on Instagram and tags Virginia after she passes away. She writes, "Such awful news regarding Virginia Roberts, a young woman, a mother to her beloved kids, ending her life. I had a secret meeting with Virginia after she got the big payment from Prince Andrew. It was despite her team trying to isolate her from such meetings. She was in pain and needed to talk. She met me knowing that I'm a dear friend of Sarah Ferguson. And of course, I conducted the only ever TV interview with #Ghislaine Maxwell in jail. She communicated with me afterwards. Her unknown, painful life after getting all this money should have been told. May she rest in peace." So now I ask you guys, what do you think happened? Do you think Virginia Roberts all of a sudden just gave up? Or do you think something else happened? Now, going back to this photo, there's no way that Virginia took this photo in the position that she's in, especially with the angles of the camera. So the bigger question is, looking at her in this state, was she already gone? Because if you look behind her, there's something black. And to me, it almost appears as if it's propping her up on her side. And it would make sense if she wasn't hooked up to anything. Perhaps maybe she passed away and they unhooked her. And that's what we're seeing here, because she sure does look like she's no longer on this earth in that photo. Now, we all know there are a lot of powerful people that wanted to see Virginia gone. Could the timing of her death coincide with the imminent release of these files, where she would have been a star and key witness to prosecuting some of these scumbags? Or do you think she was going to be exposed and was going to face jail time because she's a liar? I personally don't think she's a liar, but there are many people do that want to protect the royal family. Now, there are many Americans at this moment who are frustrated with what we are seeing happen with these Epstein files and how they're being handled. Pam Bondi and Kash Patel made promises from day one, and here we are 4 months in, and we're still waiting for the release of the documents. Now, I get that they have to dot their I's and cross their T's for legal purposes and protecting people, but, you have AI that can do a lot of this stuff. What is going on? In addition, it doesn't look too good that now we have one of the key witnesses for seeing the whole operation of what was going on once these files released to confirm and validate and the people's names who are there to now all of a sudden no longer be with us on this earth. It seems a little too convenient, in my opinion. And I really do hate the fact now that these media outlets, you can't trust them for anything. The fact that People magazine is the one who has been reporting on all this in itself is a red flag, especially after what we've seen them do with Harry and Meghan. So yeah, I do question it. I do find it very suspicious, and I do feel sorry for her. I feel sorry if her life has truly ended. And I also feel sorry for the kids because of what people like Lady Victoria Hervey have been doing to damage Virginia's reputation. And now Virginia can't even defend herself anymore. That's a tough thing, especially if there are lies that are being thrown out there to protect others. I really do hope wherever she is, alive or dead, that she is in peace.
I didn't know what could happen. And I couldn't comprehend how in the highest levels of the government and powerful people were allowing this to happen, not only allowing it to happen, but participating in it.
Let me know your thoughts, folks. As always, I will be back with more content. But until then, please be safe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Such a fraud.